Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Invader video. Today we'll be looking at a real professional invasion game. So last move, black pushed at g5. And now this is the time for white to figure out a good invasion strategy. So first, let's look at what happened on the board. Well, first of all, white killed everything here. That's a lot of points. And white has quite solid groups, top and bottom. So pretty much right now, entire black's concentration is obviously on this giant moyo. And then it's time for white to figure out a very good invasion strategy in order to get this game keep going, because if black gets everything on the bottom, that's game over, because that's way too big, as we can see visually. So you can pause the video right now, think about some invasion points, and then when you come back, we will talk about some of the thought processes. All right, welcome back, and so now we'll go through some thought process, right? So there are obviously a lot of invasion points in here. There are points such as these ones, and then if you know the concept of sector line, kind of, there are also points inside the sector line, right? So many points that we can think about. And then we can also think about going deeper at these points. We can also think about what if we go into the corner. So all these are good thoughts, and then we will examine all these ideas, and we'll come up with some sort of conclusion, some sort of new ideas that will help us in our future games when it comes to invasion. If white goes something like this, you know, I want to stay safe, right? I want to play at j8, and I don't want to cross the sector line. Well, it is really safe for your j8 stone, but that's also a safe way for you to lose the game, actually, because when black plays this one, there's no good way to actually break in anymore, right? If you play this one, I can just keep extending. And then, as we can see, black gets everything in here, and then that's pretty much game over for white. So clearly, we don't want that. We don't want anything behind the sector line. But what about something inside sector line, right? Like if I play this one. Well, this is a lot better because it understands that we have to go in deeper to black's territory. So I think a good strategy for black to defend this is to first secure the territory, right? So a lot of times I'd see players just like, oh, you know what, this is the end of the world if I don't kill this thing, right? So they go for the cap. But this is actually a bit risky, because now, because of white's support, white can first attach. If you don't want white to keep attaching, you'll probably play out like this, and then white will make a 2-space extension, and who knows what's going to happen in here, right? If white ever lives here, that will be a very difficult game for black moving on. And a lot of times, actually, it's very hard to kill things like those. So it's very important for us to always play very solid, even if we're facing some sort of, even if we're facing a very serious move like L6, right? It's trying to destroy everything we have. We'll keep part of it first, right? So that our base is still fine, right? Everything here is our territory. And then we'll look for ways to attack white. Now, white is probably gonna start running towards the center, right? If you keep going, that's very risky, actually. So now black will start capping you, and then white needs magic to live inside here. So So that's not a good idea for white to keep going deeper. And obviously anything like this, trying to look for a fight, that's just not a good idea, right? Because black has an entire army waiting for you here. So anything that tries to attach is not a great idea here, because black will just pretty much kill everything in here. Right, this stone is definitely not going to survive. And then if you just play like this, well, black is able to gain a lot of territory, but also white still has to run. That's the biggest problem. White has to keep running. Black will keep attacking while gaining a lot of profits. So we talk about behind sector line and inside sector line. Both are not such great ideas, because black is still able to get the entire base. Well, what if we destroyed base, right? What if we play L3? Well, first of all, why don't we play M3? Well, because if you play M3, it's too easy for black. Black can just squeeze you at K3, and good luck living this stone. Like this, how you, there's pretty much no way to. I have no idea how white it's gonna live. There's just no eyes. Black will just play this way. Very, very difficult, right? So we can see that this is just kind of dead in here. So we definitely don't want to play things like M3. Instead, we want L3 to give us some space to work on towards. So after black getting rid of our roots, we can attach at N3, right? This will give us a more flexibility. Black's best move is to just be patient and extend up. And then this is probably a playable game for both sides. The chance of living is like a 50-50, right? So white might attach, and then this is white might have some living opportunities, right? Like if this happens, white can make use of the ko here and try to cook something up, right? If you block here, there's a ko. If you block here, there's a ko already. If you connect, white can go ahead and start running towards the center. All right, so since there's a ko, so there's a lot of uncertainty going on here. Black can first Hane take the ko, causing white some problems. 50-50 game if white plays this one. So I'm glad if you found a move like L3. This is actually an okay move when it comes to invasion. And then what about things like K3? Well, the problem with this move is that black will just get rid of your roots. This, once again, is very, very difficult to live. All right, so if you found L3, I'm very happy for you, but it's actually better ideas than directly invading at L3. So what about we go into the corner? If we just play R3, black will block us at Q3. And now we have to figure out some magic here. If like how this I'm not even sure how this white continue, right? If you play this one, black can make use of the strength here and then play S5. This is very, very difficult for white, right? Very difficult to live, right? So if you try this one, I can take the vital point away. White is just not going to have two eyes locally. Right? Obviously, things like this, black can. There are many things that black can do. Right? Black can just even play the most obvious way. There's no way white can live. Right? If you jump out, I can. Well, to be safe, I can first play this one and then Hane. White does not have enough space. So actually, the 3-3 that we all love and understand, that, and also probably in one of my previous, way earlier in one of my videos, I talk about life and death. But now, because of the special circumstances, right? Because there's such a strong group over here, black can go for the kill, actually. So in the actual game, the professional played q3. This is an excellent move that I really learned a lot from. I would say in your game, it would be actually very hard to find such a move like q3. But at least we can get inspired, and we can at least I think we can learn from this idea. So against this move, black has two choices. Black can play r3. When white plays p3, black cannot block, right? If black blocks, we all know that white's gonna be able to live, right? And this is very hard. This is very hard to kill, right? So this is just gonna be living very easily. Not to say we can give a cut first, play a few senteis, and then come back and fix our problems. So black cannot block anymore, right? Black once again has to use the strength here and extend. White will come out, black will connect. And now, very important. I see a lot of my viewers might be wanting to just drag this thing out. But the problem with this is that it's very hard to live. So first of all, there's a cutting point here that is very hard to deal with. But also, when you try to fix the cutting point, I can just cap everything, and then white's pretty much gonna die here because how strong black is here, right? Like this is just very difficult to live inside. So likely white is gonna die here, right? I don't see a way out in my level, which is a very interesting and important idea in a game of Go. So when you cannot drag your group out and live immediately, we should change our mindset and say, hey, the idea that previously did not work, after these exchanges might work again, because now if you defend, now I can start making use of your weakness here because of exchanges over here. Now you try to fight here, that's going to be a very different story now, because now we can extend down, and then these two guys are in trouble, right? This previously did not work for white, but now it works. So this is what black was worried about in the actual game. If black fixes here, I think white can start jumping down, and then still looking at some of the weaknesses that black has here, right? So even white can play a better move. In my opinion, this would be a better move to just play K4. The shape looks a bit weird, but white has two very nice moves to follow up with. So this is also a great way for white to play out. So black is obviously very worried about this kind of combination, right? Black's certainly not too worried about white directly dragging it out, but a combination like this is very hard to deal with. So I hope you can learn something from this kind of moves. So instead, in the game, black decided to play p3, which leads to a lot of reading, because now black is going to try to kill the corner. White Kosumis, black black Hanes, and white did not block immediately. White seeks for a counterattack. Black obviously has to save the stone, and white cuts. Black extends, white pushes, and black Hanes. White pushes again, oh yeah, before white pushes, white turns. That's a sente, and white pushes out. This is This is very chaotic. So black, first of all, should probably not cut here because white can make a tiger's mouth. And then there's a way to live here. If black tries to kill, well, that's probably game over for black now because you cannot save this 3 stones and these 2 in the same time. But at this point, if black just try to kill, well, first of all, white can extend, and now white can think about making himself alive, or even first make use of the problems here and start invasion here. And then black has a few problems. Black has to deal with his invasion, but black also has this huge move that he has to worry about, because whenever white gets this move, he can take the corner. So that's definitely not something that black wants. So black decides to actually clamp here. White tries to make himself alive. And at this point, black decided to give up on killing white, right? So the best way to kill is actually to play this one, follow up by this one, but the problem is that white's going to have a honey here. So black obviously has to Atari. When white connects, black has to pretty much Atari on the first line. When white Ataris, black cannot take anymore because there's a problem. When black fixes, white will take, and black will Atari, and white will Atari. So this becomes a ko, and this is a very heavy ko for black. Black doesn't want to have a ko like this. So in the game, black decides to say, you know what, I'm gonna, let this go. I'm gonna just say, hey, you know what, this is all yours. So black decides to make sure his outside is strong. White cuts, black Ataris, and white descended at T4 and magically made the corner alive. And this is still an equal game moving on. The reason is that black can still keep building on the rest of the moyo. So actually, it's a perfect play by both sides, and I definitely learned a lot from this Q3 attach move. So the game kept going, and the rest of it is still about invasion. So black kept expanding the moyo by playing F6. White invaded, and black goes for a counter attack. White counter attacks, and black blocks at D9, and the game is still very chaotic from this point on. But I really wanted to show you guys this game because the invasion is absolutely insane, right? Like it was a very, very difficult problem to start with. Very, very difficult to figure out a good invasion point, right? I think the only good invasion point is this L3, and then there's a slightly better Q3 invasion. I definitely learned a lot from the Q3, making use of the Aji in the corner, and then look for the opportunity to come back to the center, right? Making use of what's going on here, and then potentially coordinate the two invasions. Very, very deep idea. And the defense from black was absolutely flawless as well. Black decides to refuse to have all that coordination that I talked about, and then go for the corner. And then eventually black understood its limits, and black was able to understand the limits, and then decided to understand, sometimes it's important to know when to give up, right? Because it's too many weaknesses, so black was able to basically compromise and get the game keep going, right? At this point, black can still work on a very giant moyo over here. So I think that was an excellent invasion offense and defense that I wanted to present to you guys. So I hope you guys liked the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel, and I will talk to you guys next time.